We'll call this meeting to order. We have Sue Hanley, Joanne, Michelle, Stephanie Granger present. Zach Cataldo is currently not on the meeting. The first agenda item is open forum. And I don't see any others.
I don't see any questions. Nope, I don't see any questions at this time.
Okay. So with none of those, we will move to the next agenda item, which is approval of minutes, but we don't have our minutes yet. We have a new minute taker who's getting them all done, but none for us to review tonight.
Right, Harrison Mayotte is our brand new minute taker. We're very excited about him coming on. He was just approved through Human Resources, so he is currently redoing our July, September, and October minutes.
Excellent. Glad to see you're adding staff, Ray.
Yes, we're full staff.
Is that you drawing on the
and
board?
drawing on what's the red lines?
That was Sue Hanley. So no, yeah.
I'm like, where did the red line come from?
Oh, don't even ask.
It's that kind of night.
All good.
Okay, so we can move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the approval to approve the agents of the Board of Health. And Ray, you have that?
Yes, so annually, the Board of Health does approve the agents of the Board of Health. I did reach out to the police department, our school system, and our town clerk's office who handles our burial permits. So you can see here, these are the folks that we would need you to call out and take a vote to approve as agents for fiscal year 23. Excuse me, fiscal year 24. Thank you.
Do you need to read them out, roll call, or do we just vote per the listing?
You can certainly make a motion if you'd like for the entire list that's listed on the agenda, or if you want to name each person.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So Megan is our new food person,
Correct.
is that correct?
That
And
is.
Mandy?
Mandy is our administrative assistant,
Oh, okay.
and Brittany is our regional community health and wellness coordinator.
Okay. Just making
So-
sure, because we have new staff. So I just wanted to make
Correct.
sure I knew who was what.
Well, I would make a motion to approve all of the agents of the Board of Health as listed on the agenda.
Thank you. Motion has been made. Are there any comments?
So just another question again, so I know who's who. Robert Wave and, oh, Dan Toomey is police, right? So Robert Wave, is he police?
No,
too?
Dan Toomey is Westford Academy.
Westford Academy, okay.
And is it Robert Ware or Wave?
Where? Robert
So
Ware
that's-
is one of the deans at Westford
Right.
Academy.
Oh, okay.
These are deans
So-
at the Academy. Betsy Murphy, Robert Ware, and Dan Toomey are all deans at Westford Academy.
Yeah, I recognize Betsy Murphy. That went digging into my brain cells because
Okay, so
my kids have been gone out
we'll
of school
just
for
make
a while.
Mine too.
I'll make a,
We need to make a spelling correction.
yeah, a motion to correct that spelling to
And
reflect
Robert Ware.
Robert
Okay.
Ware.
Okay.
So I will second that motion with the correction of the name of Robert Ware.
Okay.
So motion made and seconded, and all in favor, Stephanie, yes, Sue Hanley,
Yes.
Joanne,
Yes.
Michelle,
Yes.
thank you. So that passes with, do I say unanimously if it's only the four of us still? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. That motion passes unanimously. Great. And then our next agenda item is to meet our new food inspector.
Yeah, so we have our new
Do we have an
boo.
echo?
Those one of them.
Turn your iPad off, maybe.
I know, I'm going to. Sorry. God, I'm a disaster. Okay.
That's
There we go.
I'm in
gone.
the computer now.
Oh. Okay.
No problem. So we have our new food inspector, who is Megan O'Neill. He comes to us with a bachelor's degree in biology and environmental concentration from Fitchburg State. She graduated with honors. She's extremely excited. She is very green. She takes her Serve Safe course on actually tomorrow. She was going to try to be on tonight for introductions, but I don't see her on as a panelist right now or as a participant. So I don't know if she's having difficulty getting in, but we are really excited. Arnie Price has been so gracious. He's staying on for 8 more weeks to train her. So we've coordinated their schedules so that she can get the most training as possible. So we're setting up for courses and all kinds of food trainings, and we're already taking her out in the field so she can learn WinWham, our permitting system, that kind of thing. So
Great.
my hope is maybe she'll be able to get on and say hello.
Yeah, she's not on
Probably
the
a few
agenda till
minutes ahead,
6:20, so maybe
Right.
she'll
Yeah.
join in a bit.
So
Okay.
that's Megan.
Great. Well, hopefully we'll meet her soon, but we're thrilled to have somebody in that position.
When did she start, Ray?
So she started last week. She's just completed a full week. She's going to work Monday through Thursday and have Fridays off, where she's 18 hours a week. So she comes in about 9 o'clock. She's in every morning, and we'll work afternoons for those restaurants that need it. But right now we have her doing introductions to meet all the business owners and to develop that rapport and relationship. So
Does
Arnie's
she have
taking her
another
in
job that
She
she's only
does.
working 18 hours?
She does. So she does have another part-time job. I don't know if she wants me to tell people that publicly, but she does have another part-time job. So this works perfect for her and her flexibility. Yeah, she's really very enthusiastic and excited to learn. So Arnie has mentioned, and Abby, how quickly she's picking everything up. And yeah, the staff seems to really like her. So this is a good fit, we're hoping.
That's great. Okay, so we're a little ahead. Were we expecting people here for the Millennium Home Day Healthcare?
So I
think
believe they're
Arson is on, I believe.
Mhm. Let me bring him up. Arson, we'll make a panelist. Arson, are you there?
I think you're muted, Arson.
Yeah, no, I am muted myself.
Okay, great, welcome. So
I'm sorry, 1 second, I will turn the camera on. Hi.
Okay.
Yes, hello.
hi, all right, so Ray, do you want to tell us about the
Sure. So
Millennium-
Millennium Home Daycare Healthcare is located here in the community. And you might have remembered this facility in the past. I know the Board of Health had set some conditions because they do not have an external grease trap at this location. They do have an internal grease trap. But this is a daycare facility that has a special population, and they have special food menu items that they like to set for their clients. And so tonight they're asking for a variance to extend some food items that we feel at the health department do not produce grease. We are asking as part of the condition tonight that they submit their grease trap invoices quarterly to our health department, and so we can keep an eye out for that to see if there's any kind of increase. But we do support the proposed menu items tonight. So I don't know if you want to hear from Arson.
Sure, Arson, did you have anything you'd like to say this evening?
First of all, I would like to thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to meet with you. It's a pleasure. It's an honor for us. So, and I am here also with our dietitian, registered dietitian, Lisa Hughes. So she joined too. If she can hear us.
I saw her on the list of people
Lisa
attending.
Hughes. She's our registered dietitian, so I asked her to join us so she can
Okay, yep, I can make her a panelist.
Please.
She can hear you. Yep.
Yep. So we are here together with Lisa, and we would like to, ask for your approval so we can expand our food menu because of, we have a very large Chinese community attending our program, the healthcare program. And there are a couple of items that we would like to add to the breakfast menu. So one of them is hard-boiled eggs and congee, and something like steamed buns. It's all what we are going to do. There is no grease, there is no oil, so all very nothing that we can add another burden on the grease trap. So it's going to be very beneficial for our customers, for our members, so they will be happy with the food items for the breakfast that we hope that we can provide to them. And this is what we are hoping for, if you would agree. And we submitted our proposal with detailed description of the items for breakfast and the equipment that we would like to use to prepare those items.
Have you been having the grease traps checked quarterly
Yes,
already?
of
Is
course.
that
Yes,
okay?
of
So that's
course.
already the current program.
Yes, we have been doing it all the time.
Okay. Lisa, did you have anything you wanted to add?
No, I just would be so grateful if you would see fit to add these items so that the participants, who are largely Asian, have really been asking for and would like it hot prepared. So it would just make them so happy.
Okay, thanks. Do any of the board members have any questions? Sue?
Yeah, could you tell me a little bit more about your client base and how many people you are servicing at your facility?
And also,
Sure.
where is it located?
It's on Liberty Way. Yeah.
So we actually have about, we're back up after COVID to about 50 to 60 participants daily, and that can vary because people don't always come every day. Some days are a bigger population, some days a less population, but they're definitely, they're all, I would say 95% at Millennium are of Asian descent. So they're looking for foods that are comfort foods that speak to them. So they're looking for their congee or porridge, as they would call it, which is mainly made from rice and maybe some mung beans. I have a food service worker who helps prepare things for the day, everything that's, just heat and serve, things like that, that we can do. But she's got a wealth of knowledge about what everybody likes. She's Asian herself and they've been really begging her to move forward with some of these things. They'd like to be able to have like hot steam rice. They like these little buns that are just steamed buns, and they might have some kind of bean in it or vegetable. Sometimes they're just plain, but it really, the participants are they're getting tired of us trying to give them Americanized food. And they've asked for these changes for quite some time now.
What are the hours that they are at, that they're with you?
They're generally there from about 8 to 2 in the afternoon. So we feed them.
What about lunchtime too?
Lunchtime is a little bit easier for us because we can get somebody, we have some restaurants in the area that will provide us with food for them, but we can't get somebody that early in the morning to provide things for us.
Okay.
Hot foods.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions? Joanne?
So I know that Ray and Arnie and Abby have gone over this, but I'm just curious. So these would be things that you would be making on site yourself, because lunch you said you have brought in. I think I remember that.
So when I say we're making them, these are things that can be simply heated. So we're using a steamer for rice. I mean, you can boil rice or you can steam it. So we are looking for a commercial steamer, rice cooker, if you will. I mean, some people have rice cookers at home. So we're looking for that to do their rice and their porridge. And then we want something to just be able to reheat or steam those frozen,
Okay.
there'll be frozen products, the buns that we're going to get are frozen. So we just want to be able to reheat that for them, steam them essentially, which is how they would have it in their own community, their own kitchens. So we're just looking for things to make it in a hot plate sort of item so that we can boil water to make them hard-boiled eggs.
So you have for the eggs, it'd be fresh, so you'd have refrigeration for the eggs?
Oh yeah, we have wonderful refrigeration
Okay,
there.
good,
They have
from before,
beautiful
okay.
storerooms, excellent, yes.
Yeah, okay. And Ray, they don't need a HACCP plan for the rice?
They do not.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Yeah, any other questions?
No, I think it sounds like a wonderful idea.
Thank you. They'll be very happy to hear that.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, so then seeing none, is there anybody who'd like to make a motion to?
I'll
I
make
can
that
ask
motion.
Can I ask just a question first
Sure,
of Ray?
Certainly.
What was do you have the wording from the other variants so that we know? It was just for the grease trap, that was it? Didn't have anything to do with the menu or anything like that?
No, they were.
No.
I don't
The-
remember I remember you all, and I remember, you coming before us. I don't remember what we did.
Right, so what you had voted was you were concerned because of the external grease trap, and you had limited them to foods that would produce grease, is what was in the condition.
Wouldn't.
Would not.
Would not.
Would not.
Correct, excuse me. Yep,
Okay. All right. Thank you.
sure.
Sorry, Michelle. If you want to do it,
No
I'll
problem.
do it. Okay.
I'll make a motion
Okay,
to accept.
the variance.
Yes.
Can we see it? I'm sorry, Ray, can you go back to?
Sure, no, that's okay. I'm just making sure. Okay.
So we're not really extending or changing the existing variance. That's going to stay in place. This is a new variance.
Correct. So you can see here, we have from July 8th of 2019, there were conditions on food preparation and cleaning due to the external grease trap. But there was not more specifics listed at the time. They would be considered food prepping, these items, but they are frozen items, except for the rice they would be
the
preparing in the
eggs.
steamer.
Yes.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, so the variance is to allow the preparation of the specified food items
That are proposed. Yep.
that are
Yeah.
proposed. Okay,
This particular menu only.
Correct. Yep.
But I think you also have to say that they have to continue to
grease trap.
repeat, clean it quarterly and send the reports on.
Yeah.
Shouldn't that be part of the, yeah.
Well, that's in the other variance, right? That's already specified?
Correct.
Yeah, so we don't, we can repeat it. But
Oh,
it's
so we don't
already,
need to do that? Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
I don't think so.
No,
Do we?
it's already specified that they need to give quarterly grease trap
Okay.
invoices, and we check them on inspection. But they would need to supply us those quarterly to the health department office as part of the condition.
Okay. So it does have the two parts to it. Okay.
Correct. Yep.
You
They
wanna
already
add-
do it quarterly. They just have them available in the facility. They would
Okay,
need to
so you're
know.
asking.
Oh,
that
all
they
right, so you're
provide them to you.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry.
Because they want to be, we're out there twice a year. They want to make sure that they're keeping track of the grease.
Okay. I get it.
But you're asking that they now provide them to you quarterly?
Correct, at the health department.
Okay. Okay. You want to take a crack at that, Michelle?
So
Is
I
it
will
written,
make,
Ray, is it written in the agenda?
It is, I just had it. They are requesting to expand their food menu. A previous variance with food preparation and cleaning conditions was set on this facility on July 8th, 2019. They are looking to add the proposed foods And we are asking that they submit their grease trap invoices quarterly to the health department.
Okay, so
If that
you
helps.
can make the motion as outlined there, or?
Yeah, I think that sounds fine.
Okay. You want to repeat
Um,
yourself there, Michelle?
Sure, sure. So I will make the motion to the Millennium Home Adult Healthcare Center to expand their food menu system to include the food items discussed tonight that are non-grease producing, and with the expectation that their quarterly grease trap invoices will be submitted to the health department.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Joanne seconds. Vote now, and all in favor, Stephanie Granger, yes. Michelle,
Aye.
Joanne,
Aye.
and Sue.
Aye.
Thank you. All right, that passes unanimously. Thank you for being good and coming and working with the department on
Thank
this.
you so much. They're going to
Thank
be
you
so
so
happy,
much.
so grateful. Thank you.
That's
Thank you.
great.
Okay. All right, and we do have Megan on if you want me to introduce her.
Sure.
Okay. Megan. Hi, Megan.
Hi, how are you?
Good. So Megan, I
Welcome.
was just telling the board that you had just started last week and that you are starting the Serve Safe course tomorrow, correct?
She's muted. Megan, you're muted. There you are. Hello.
Sorry, there's a lot of
Megan.
pop-ups. I had to click them all. But yes, I'm doing the Serve Safe class tomorrow.
Great.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you. It's nice to meet you all.
We
Who's
hear good
teaching the
things that-
cat? Who's teaching the serve safe?
I'm not
Right.
sure, honestly. It's in Woburn. Abby set it up for me, so
It
Oh,
is.
we're
I've
we're
never
thrilled
heard
to
of
have
it.
you on board, Megan.
thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Megan, we wanted to thank you for coming on. We're really excited, and I let them know that you're already out in the field and learning the
Mhm.
software. So we just wanted you to have an opportunity to meet Joanne, Michelle, Sue, and Stephanie is our chair.
Awesome. Well, it's nice to meet you all. Abby and Ray have been great with helping me my first week, so thank you.
First week. Okay. That's great. Welcome. And
Yeah, thank
we
you.
look forward to getting to know you better over the years.
Yes, you as well. Thank you.
And we're just signing on to WinWham too, where I work, so we can all learn together.
Oh yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, Megan. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah,
Of
thanks
course.
for joining us.
Have a good night.
Good night.
You
You
too.
too.
Bye.
So Ray, does that mean that every position has been filled now?
Yes, it does. We have a full
Cheers.
team. We're very excited.
About time.
Mhm.
Stephanie, are you crying?
Yeah.
No.
I think it's Ray.
Mhm. Very excited.
Tears of
Awesome.
joy. Okay. I can't see the agenda. There we
Okay,
go.
we're pulling it back up. There you go.
All right, so we are on to our 6:35 agenda item, which was the Behavioral Health and Wellness Committee update.
Sure. So I just wanted to give you an update. We are still actively working with the select board members on this committee. We did present Nicole Laviette and myself, who is our community health and wellness coordinator for the town, to the select board, I believe about 2 weeks ago. So we are on the agenda for the end of the month. They had some additional questions, whose responsibility it would be for some of the goals of the committee. So we are also playing around a little bit with the name, making some changes. And I wanted to make sure that you were all aware that we are actively working on this, and hopefully the committee will be accepted and we'll be able to get a public input to see if folks would like to join.
Is there a target for that? Oh, Sue, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say I had the opportunity to sit down with Nicole recently because we got our parent support group, our first parent support group meeting we got it started. We had a small showing, but I'm very impressed with Nicole, and I'm excited for she's been meeting with everybody in town, Ray, like school, church, church leaders. I mean, she's really touched on all of the different community members, and I was thrilled to meet her, and I'm thrilled that Westford hired her. So
Great.
We are too. So no, she's been amazing with this group, and we work with Nicole on lots of different projects and grants. So we're excited that she's with us. So I just wanted to give you a brief update on that, and if you had any questions.
Thanks, Ray. Okay, then the next agenda item is the ARPA update.
Sure. So just wanted to also give you an update on that discussion that continues on. Tomorrow night, I'm in front of the select board for some grant contracts, as well as our ARPA requests. And so at this point, we are up for our public nurse position. We have requested from part-time to full-time for an additional fiscal year. This would be the third year of funding. So that is a request. I put together a list of items that our current nurse has been working on and utilizing with that time. And that was also put in your packet. The other item on the ARPA request tonight is, for tomorrow evening, is our community health assessment and community improvement plan. So those two items are up tomorrow. We've been told they're going to review all the items to see what they've awarded and what's left to be awarded. So I don't know what that means for us, but we're ready to go. Everything's been sent in. And
Did you say that there was not going to be discussion about these, or?
No, I don't know what's going to happen. We've been told that they're going to review them all. I don't know if that means they're going to ask questions or if there's discussion on each item. I don't know.
Okay, so
I'm ready as if they want to talk about it.
Okay, and do we know what time frame that is, or?
I believe we're at 7:30. I could double check.
Okay. So I think,
Yeah,
if anybody's available to be there to support those discussions, that'd be great.
They did ask, the select board did have a series of questions for our ARPA requests regarding our community health assessment, accreditation. So we did put those answers together and hope we answered everything. We gave all kinds of examples of RFPs for other communities, things that they asked for. So we'll see what happens.
Okay. Any questions for Ray on that? All right, then we can move on to the budget discussion.
actually, I do have one question
Okay,
about
yeah,
ARPA.
sure.
So how many more years of ARPA funding is it?
So the ARPA funding is till 2026, is my
Okay.
understanding. And I believe they have a little over $3 million left. So, but attached to, I put the latest ARPA request that we have. And if there's any specific information you wanted to see, there's several different sheets that show what's already been awarded, what we've given back, things of that nature. For instance, one of the items was we requested $4,500 for hoarding training, but we've just received a grant with Chelmsford and other surrounding communities for hoarding, a $50,000 grant. So that will provide us training to our public employees for our senior center, health department, police, and fire. So they'll all receive a hoarding training, an online training, so that can prepare them for the field.
So
That's
can
great.
I ask you, Ray, about all the grants that you have incredibly secured? How much in grants have you been able to secure?
I would have to put it all down for you. Certainly, we received the NACCHO $75,000 grant for MRSC. We just received another $10,000. Brittany just secured a $15,000 grant from Greater the Greater
Yeah.
Lawrence,
Lowell,
excuse
yeah.
me, Lowell
Lowell
Foundation.
community, yeah.
Yep, so that's in here as well, and that will pay for youth mental first aid for
And that
60
goes, and those grants go right back into the town, correct?
Correct, yep.
That's incredible. That's an incredible amount of money you guys have secured. And who's been helping you write these grants?
So several different people. So Nancy Burns and myself write the MRC grants. Brittany, myself, and our grant coordinator helps Brittany with that grant. So we're really proud of her. And then we have things like the PHE grants that I'm a host agent of. So we give back anywhere between $28,000 and $45,000 worth of admin fees every year. And so we have FDA grants. We have all different, lots of grants. So we can certainly put that down in writing for you.
Actually, I think that would be great. And I, is
Sure.
that something that you've provided the select board and Jody with as well? The amount of grants that you guys have secured through the health department, because that
We
is
do.
impressive. Okay.
We do. We put it in the budget narrative, and we also put it in the
Okay.
town report every year.
Yeah, that's incredible. I don't think people realize how much work it takes to write grants. So thank you very much for all that you do about that, Ray.
Sure. No, absolutely. One thing I will say about the ARPA request, we did receive funding a little over $30,000 towards interface. We're going to use some of our mental health funding to supplement that. It's about $39,000 for interface for fiscal year 24. So
Thank
we're
you.
glad to say that will be covered too for another year.
Thanks, Ray.
Yep.
Thank you. Okay. So then the budget, yes?
So the budget, so you can see the attached budget also in your packet. We did ask for a few line item increases, things like vehicle maintenance was doubled. We also asked for instance, our school dental program went over, so we asked for a increase. We did receive all the increase we asked for, except for the public health nurse. So that is something, again, as I mentioned earlier, that we would definitely like to see made full-time. It's an additional 7.5 hours a week. With COVID, as you know, although, people seem to talk like it's not around, but it's more contagious than ever, I would say. And, there's lots of changes with the immunizations. There's new state software that has to be learned. We constantly have to feed all of our clinics. We're 8 to 10 clinics right now. In the fall next year, we're hearing that the COVID vaccine will be commercial. It will be separate from flu. So we will need to also offer that as well to the public. But I did put a whole list of items that our public health nurse has been working on. We have waiting lists right now for first aid, CPR, stop the bleed classes. So, I don't have to tell you how important it is for the position to be full-time. So I would like to request, a letter if possible.
So I have a question, Ray. For
Mhm.
next year, if we're going to have COVID clinics and flu clinics, I know, currently you can go to CVS and you can get one shot in one arm and one shot in the other on the same day. Would we be able to duplicate that effort, or do we need to have separate clinics for flu and COVID next year? Trying to be as efficient as possible.
Sure. So our hope is to be able to provide both. There does sometimes seem to be issues with because we have volunteers that help us with these clinics. So for instance, we have some MRC nurses that are okay working on children and some that are not. We have some that are okay with giving COVID vaccine and some that are not due to various issues. Some other things that we have to worry about are liability, to make sure we have those separated. So we are talking together with Gail right now on planning to make sure that we can make it as convenient and as efficient as possible. We don't yet know what the refrigeration will be for this new COVID vaccine or what it looks like as far as doses and vials. So, but that's the hope.
Sue.
Yeah, so question for you. So I know that the idea of a full-time has never passed. What seems to be the biggest issue with Gail becoming full-time? So, and the reason I'm asking is, I'm an MRC volunteer, right? And I'm just struggling with, we couldn't do any of these clinics without volunteers. So volunteers are not sustainable. A full-time person is. So I've always struggled with, and as a nurse, and I'm sure Joanne can attest to this too, I struggle with the fact that we're asked to volunteer a lot. And that's okay. I mean, I've done a lot of volunteer work, but I don't understand how a town would not support the need for a full-time nurse when we use volunteers all the time. And like you said, volunteers aren't always willing to give a vaccine to a child, or they have. So what seems to be the biggest hurdle that we're trying to get over to say we need a full-time nurse? What is it that the select board has struggled with to okay?
At this time, my understanding is funding for the position to be full-time. So that's our challenge, is to find the funding,
Well,
which
there's
is about
happened if we-
19,000 a
Yeah,
year.
if
Yeah,
we didn't
yeah,
have the MRC volunteers, what would the town do? We'd have to probably get, we'd have to pay. We'd have to pay contractors, which would cost a hell of a lot more than 19,000. So that's what I'm kind of struggling with. I'm confused.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Yeah.
that's one of the things that, we included in our letter to them, was to make it clear that the size of this town and the situations we're facing these days make it necessary for us to have a full-time public health nurse. It's not an option, it's not a luxury, and it's not the norm to not have one at this point. If you look at other towns with our population, they have full-time nursing equivalents.
And it's a day. We're not talking about trying to move somebody from part-time to full-time, add the benefits and all this other stuff. We're talking about 7 hours where, I'm sure she works 7 hours, times 3 over the course of a, I mean, it's just, the short-sightedness of saying, or whatever it is, to wrangle it down to go, no, we're not giving, that we don't have the money for a day when she's doing it anyway.
Well, and if you ask me, doing it for free,
disingenuous.
doing it for free. Yeah.
And doing it for free. I mean, you and I both know. I mean, that's a nurse's thing, is we just do. But lots of people do that. And I think too, like, to your point, Sue, it is not so much that having her an extra day would replace the cadre of nurses that come out of, or the volunteers out of the MRC, but somebody has to oversee them. Somebody has to coordinate with them and make sure that, the clinics are run correctly, and, everybody has what they need and the trainings that they need. So that takes a coordinator, that takes somebody to put that programming together and manage those volunteers. And Nancy does a great job from an MRC standpoint, but from this clinical side, that's Gail's job. And I don't know, I've struggled with this for years. I struggled with it in my own professional career, that one day seems to somehow be such a hurdle. And it really is, it's disingenuous. I don't know.
I don't get it.
I don't get it.
Well, one thing too, I will say, just one example. We've advertised our special POPs, or special needs, if you will, registry, not only through our town bulletin, but it went home to every resident. So we've seen quite an increase for special needs residents who, when in an emergency, we have this list of folks that need help for all different reasons, whether they need electricity for a ventilator or they're homebound. So we have seen an increase of homebound patients request their flu shot at home. A lot of folks with questions, and folks with disabilities that don't feel comfortable going to a clinic due for a variety of issues. We just had, this week we had a child with a disability that came in to get their flu shot because it's just, the person wasn't capable to go to the clinic due to the crowd. So, you know, we try to accommodate all of our residents as best we can. And, you know, that's just one increase we've seen.
Yeah, I think it's just really critical to recognize that maybe we were able to do a 3/4 time position when the town was smaller. We're not that small. We have been growing rapidly. Our population is dramatically larger, and it necessitates us to be able to provide for the healthcare needs of this town, at least at the level that the base level requires us to have a full-time nurse. She's been functioning that way for the last year, 2 years. And it
Well,
really needs to
yeah,
be.
three now with, you
Yeah.
know,
Mhm.
because of COVID.
But we know that those needs are not only COVID and they're not going
Oh,
away.
correct.
So-
And
I
I
have
just
one
am
more
just-
question. Yeah, can I have one more question? So, Nicole is the community health and wellness coordinator now, right? Is that?
Correct.
And so she was hired, and is this an ARPA fund or is this a full-time, you know, fund? Like this is her position now going forward.
So my understanding is that she was hired with ARPA funds, and I do not know if she is continuing with ARPA funds full-time or if she has been rolled into the budget.
Okay.
Or I should say that position.
Well, I'm so excited about her coming on, and I pray to God that she is rolled into the budget. But if they are able to find room in the budget for a community health and wellness coordinator,
Mhm.
please help me to understand how you couldn't find room for a full-time nurse. So that would be, that to me would be a little bit of a slap in the face to Gail if they were able to find room in the budget for that, but not for Gail.
one day,
So
just one day.
one day.
It's
Yeah,
not
one
hiring
day.
and it's
Yeah,
not
we're
a new position. It's
one
not,
day.
it's
Yeah.
just one day. She already gets benefits. She already gets all this. It's just the one day.
Right. All right, we're behind you there, Ray.
Okay, thank you.
So
Very supportive. Yes.
we have the letter.
the
I
letter.
sent the letter. Jody said she would distribute it or put it in their packet.
Okay, thank you.
And we'll keep at it.
I
Just-
actually wrote a personal letter myself, and I will send that as well.
Thanks, Sue. Okay, is there anything else on the budget then?
Not at this time.
Then on to COVID-19 updates.
So a couple things. We do have free kits till the end of January, still at the health department, the library, and the senior center. If anyone is out there, you know, with the holidays coming, we've had kind of a marathon run to the counter lately for COVID kits. It's definitely infectious, and we're, you know, hearing and seeing more and more. I will say that the state numbers have not increased. Those are state reported cases only. They're reported to the health department. Right now, we're running about 67 cases for the month. And just, you know, in case people are interested in those state reported numbers, you can go to the Department of Public Health for all of your vaccine questions. You can certainly call our health department. If you're looking for a COVID vaccine, you can give us a call at the health department. We're happy to help you. And yeah, you know, it's not going away. As I mentioned earlier, commercial vaccine, we've just been told will come out next year. So we're waiting to get more information on that.
So I think, Ray, it's important to point out that while the state reported numbers are not going up, that's really not a very good indicator of the
Correct.
level of COVID in the state. And there are some indicators that clearly show that, you know, it's increasing within the state. We know that. And I think, you know, people need to be really careful right now between COVID, RSV, and the flu.
Mhm.
I masked up today, found out a bunch of our friends have confirmed flu cases.
Yeah.
And it's just everywhere. And, you know, really encourage people to practice wisdom in their at this time of year. Wash your hands, take those precautions, mask up when you can in public is just wise.
And I also think that if you have symptoms, you should test stay home. You know, I think one of the things, and you said this, Stephanie, it's very underreported. There's no doubt in my mind. And what I do believe now is that people aren't even testing, which And so they're continuing to go about their lives. And what they're doing is they're spreading the virus. So again, not every cold is COVID. I've dealt with several family members with colds and flus recently that have tested and did not have COVID, but I've also had family members that have had COVID recently. And so if people just did the due diligence, if they have symptoms, there's so many tests out there, just test and stay away from people. That's the way I look at it is,
That's just common sense.
Common sense. Yeah.
Common
And the
sense.
tests are free. There's plenty of free
Yeah.
tests. I always feel bad when I see somebody, buying a test. They're,
Yeah.
spending $20 at CVS. They're free.
They're free. Yeah.
Just pick them up. But, just be aware too that in other parts of the country, they're talking about returning to masking and not mandatory like we did, but the requirement, San Francisco and some of the New York area, they are recommending masking indoors because not just COVID, but flu and RSV and whatever odd respiratory virus, which, like you were saying, I tested for everything at home and then I went and got tested for everything. Everything was negative, but I had some respiratory virus.
Yeah.
This is this is the time of year. So, think about masking when you're going to be around family. As we're coming into the holidays, we saw the increase after Thanksgiving. If you want to look more at wastewater now, I think, then maybe the COVID numbers and the wastewater is going up. So just be nice to other people.
Yes.
Yeah, and the CDC is recommending masks now, so it doesn't hurt, and as you said, we're seeing a lot of increases with RSV right now with daycare centers on a daily basis. So,
But not just children, we're seeing it in
Correct.
Adults,
too.
yeah. I know somebody with it right now. Yeah.
correct.
Yeah, and it's, to be polite and healthy and take care of ourselves and others, just be wise. If you're not well, stay home, test. But even if it's negative for COVID and you're sick,
Stay home.
Okay, we said our piece. All right.
So
then,
Before you go on, can
yes,
I
sure,
can I
Joanne, yes.
circle back to something, because I was going to ask and I get sidetracked. And it's more about, going back to Gail's position, but also I'm just curious onto the population of Westford, because I moved here almost, over 30 years ago now. I know what it was when I moved here. And it, like you said, Stephanie, I think for some reason we have a lot of new construction and a lot, and big construction, multi-family and apartments and things. I'm curious, Ray, if you could let us know whenever, just like the increases in population and then what the projected is, because I think that's going to be, again, like really important, as you pointed out, Stephanie, that we're just too big now. We need a public health nurse full time. So,
No,
but I'm
happy
just
to-
curious about those numbers.
No, I am happy to pull that data for you. I know right now we're running about 25,000 for our population, but I'm not sure what census that is too. So how updated that is. So I will check.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you.
probably several years old at this point.
Yeah, that sounds low, but yeah.
I think they used a higher number, maybe not, in one of the recent town meeting discussions.
Sorry, I
No,
know I went
thanks.
backwards.
No, that's
I
fine.
just
That's
was
it's
curious.
important for us to understand that and to make sure that that's clear. Like, we can't treat the town like it's still 16,000. It's not. Okay, new business.
Okay, so a couple things. We've had quite a few dust complaints with our drought and some crazy weather, if you will. But we've had some dust complaints at 3 separate locations. These are commercial settings. Strangely enough, all at the same time. So we did reach out. I actually reached out to the DEP Air Quality Control Division to see if they would be willing to come out to look at these facilities with us. So we spent most of the day Friday touring the facilities, talking with owners, general managers, environmental managers about what they could do to keep the dust control down. I'm worried about, silica dust for public health. We have a few residents here that live around these sites that are seeing buildup and collection of this silica dust, not only on vehicles, but toys and homes, everything outside. So we are actively working on this, and they are coming up with a plan to help us craft enforcement orders and to work with these facilities. As you might know, the dust control regulations for DEP, the Board of Health, your local Board of Health, sorry, my computer's freezing on me. Your local Board of Health can enforce those regulations. And so we work with all of our owners to make sure that they have dust control, water trucks on site to take care of the dust. But there's no hard equation. For instance, if you have this big of a lot or this big of land, you need this many water trucks. You need to run them this many times a day. So we're looking at, illicit discharges to the roadways, storm drains, and like I said, how often they're using their water trucks to keep this dust down, and working with the homeowners to let them know that we're on top of it and, logging their complaints.
Ray, what is the silica dust product coming from?
So it's coming from concrete and granite and rock crushing. So, because some of the facilities are crushing rock. And of course, when you have these drought conditions or dry conditions, depending on how much water they're using, they're required to have a water truck on site to keep down not only the dust in the road, but to keep the dust blowing off the piles and their or I should say rock crushing activities.
Are there concerns about that and the water?
There's concerns not about drinking water, but the water trucks themselves. So, for instance, we've visited facilities that said, yep, here's our water truck, but it freezes up in the winter. Or, there's been issues with, we only have one truck and they're doing several activities all over the place. There's no hard requirement that they do it every hour or even every day. So that's why we've reached out to the DEP to get a little more help with that and what would be the best standard or best practices that they could be using out at their facilities.
Okay,
and do we know, have there been any samples done? So there are multiple types of silica. Crystalline silica is the most hazardous, as a respirable hazard. Do we know if we're dealing with that, or are we dealing with another form of silica?
We don't at this point. And so none of these facilities have air quality permits through DEP. They've been here a long time here in the community. And when I say long time, 50 to 100 years. So they are investigating whether they actually qualify for air quality permits, in which case they would be required to do testing at that time. Okay. So we're waiting to hear back. And, I will say due to their capacity, it will take a little bit before we hear back.
So when you say that they may not qualify, is that because they would be grandfathered or?
According to the DEP, they have strict guidelines, and so they may be grandfathered in, was one of the items that they mentioned. And they were going to go, this particular person that came out mentioned they were going to go back to their supervisors and their department staff and see what they could do, is how they left it with us. So we're waiting to see.
Okay, because that is concerning.
Mm-hmm. Very. So and it's, we get dust control complaints all year, but this has kind of been, if you will, a perfect storm. It's 3 large facilities all at one time. So our health agent has been very busy visiting and logging. So
great. Glad that we have the health agent to do that. Not great that this is a problem. Okay, thanks, Ray.
Sure.
And then the next item then? So
Community Substance Use Disorder Forum. This was a flyer that I put in your packet. So this took place last week. This was open to the public to get an idea of any folks that wanted to come and to kind of talk about any substance abuse issues they might have, or if they were needed any resources. This was something that Nicole Laviette had put on. And, like I said, we work really close with her on all kinds of projects and wanted to make sure you're aware of it. Mental health is one of our goals and focuses for this fiscal year, as it ongoing, as you know. And so that forum did just take place.
How many people ended up showing up?
I believe there were 5.
Okay.
Good. Hopefully they got some helpful feedback.
Yeah, we're waiting to hear back from Nicole to see, next steps.
So Sue, is she our parent support group update?
Sue, yep. I just want to make sure Sue gets credit for this. This has been great, and I know Nicole is excited about it. So, Sue, I didn't know if you wanted to say anything about it.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we've run that support group for years, and then during COVID, we didn't do it. And then, it's been on my mind for a long time. And then Claire O'Brien, who's a Westford resident, she had kind of approached me, and she has a background in social work, but she also has a daughter struggling with mental health issues. And I'm very excited that she wanted to get this going again. And Nicole was wonderful. I got an email, Claire and I had met, and we we're like, we need to have another person on board with this. And Ray, I think, shared the information, and Nicole reached out, and I said to Claire, I said, it's like an answer to prayers, that Nicole wanted to be involved. Like anything else, the whole purpose of this group is it's really going to be about supporting families, supporting parents on this journey. There's a group called Flourishing Families out of Boston University, and they have a free online group, and we're kind of modeling it after that. And kind of using DBT skills, which is dialectical behavior therapy skills with parents. So we had our first meeting last week, but it wasn't a lot of time to advertise, and it was only a few people came, which I'm fine about. I think we need to advertise it more. And I also have a huge listserv. And then what I've done over the years is I've continued to share information. So even people that don't go, we can share information. And I'm excited with Nicole that she wants to be able to post more information on the Westford Health Department page and things like that. So it is very exciting that there is a big focus on mental health now, and it's something very much needed. And I'm thrilled that, Ray, you're so supportive of it, and having Nicole on board and Brittany. I feel really good about our town and the vision that a lot of us have about making a difference.
So I want to say thanks. I mean, I know it's been a great thing, and I've heard wonderful things about it over the years. And I also know that as parents, going through when their children are going through these challenges, parents often feel very lost. They're not the ones in the sessions. They're not, and how. And so this is just a huge help to have this.
It's interesting though, and this is what I hope we can get more information out. But I was involved in a lot of education years ago when my daughter was in the Breaking Free from Depression curriculum. And I remember going to talk in towns, and it was amazing how many people would come out after a suicide, for example. And I want us to be more proactive. And I just pray that more and more people get educated around these issues, whether they're going through something or not. Like I think what can be a little tricky with mental health is there's a stigma. So when you talk about having a group, are people going to be afraid to come, that they're outing themselves? And I don't want it to be that way. I want it to be parents coming together to support each other, and we shouldn't be ashamed of talking openly about the struggles that our kids are going through, because sorry, 1 in 5 kids are struggling, 1 in 4. I mean, the percentages are huge. So the amount of us that are dealing with it is overwhelming. And this is my hope, is that we can keep having an open dialogue going. And as a town, make it something that's okay to talk about.
And so you would welcome parents, whether or not they are currently dealing with issues, to join the group.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's the hope, is that we continue to grow this group as supporting each other on the journey of being a parent,
Thanks, Sue.
And Sue, do you want to mention when it is, where it is?
Sorry. It's
No, that's
so
okay.
Ray did a great job of securing the second Thursday of the month, and it's at the town hall. It's in the room that we used to have our board meetings in. So it's just 7 to 8:30, the second Thursday of the month. And and again, It's just there's going to be part of it is going to be not educational, but like a theme of it. So last week we talked about validation, the importance of validation. So every week there'll be some kind of theme, but then it's opened up to talk about your own struggles or issues that you're dealing with.
Are those themes posted are they going to be posted on the website or anything?
Yeah, that's the goal. Yeah.
Okay. Good goal. Support you in that. Thanks, Sue. All right, Ray, back to new business, the
Sure.
Northwest Coalition.
Yep. So I just wanted to make sure you were aware, as I mentioned earlier, Brittany Nash received approval and an award of $15,000 from the Greater Lowell Community Foundation Grant for Mental Health Support. So we're really excited, and that is for, as Brittany is our community regional coordinator. So this is for all of our communities, which is Acton, Westford, Drake, and Lowell. So this funding will pay for youth mental health certification for 60 people for our community. So it's 60 for each community. And we haven't spoken yet, but we're looking to provide it not only to the public, but employees as well. Fire, police, anyone that might be interested, coaches, things like that. Trying to think out of the box of who could really benefit from this training. So just wanted to, congratulate Brittany. This is our first grant, so she was super excited. So
it's terrific.
We're proud of her. So interface contract I mentioned earlier. So we are good to go. That contract is January to December of FY23. Speaking with Nicole, our opioid settlement funding, some of our mental health funding, we're hoping we'll be able to pay for interface moving forward. I know that's going to go up to about $60,000 a year. So we are also shopping around for some other services that are available, such as Care Solace. We've been talking with some other communities that are happy with them. So we're looking at some different services that are out there and, the best price for the services.
Great.
Online hoarding training is a shared grant I mentioned too for $50,000. And so that's several communities who applied as this is under the town of Chelmsford. And we've been working with them on, we meet once a month for hoarding trainings, talking about different cases, how we can help each other out, get resident services, long-term services to help for things like cleanouts and assistance with mental health. So that's new. Go ahead.
Do we currently have any hoarding cases open right now, or?
We do have 2 cases open right now.
It seemed to be kind of a constant lately. They
do. Yep. And they come in waves, and you can have 1 or you can have 12 going. So it just really depends. There's really no rhyme or reason. Westford Coalition of Nonviolence, Domestic Violence Education Handbook. So Gail's been working really hard with her group. They have just come out with their updated handbooklet. I wasn't able to, we don't have it electronically yet. They've just printed it. But I'll certainly mail you each one so that you can see they did a really great job. These booklets are handed out. The police department hand those out when they're in the fields for different cases, but they're scattered all throughout town too.
Is there a way to link them electronically soon too?
We're hoping, we're hoping that we should receive it electronically as well. So our hope is to put it up on all our social media, web pages. Nicole will share it on her pages, our social services department at the senior center. So library, things of that nature.
Great.
Mm-hmm. Narcan distributor update is, so I had mentioned at the last meeting that some of our ideas with the opiate settlement funding is to put together a Narcan distribute cases and kits. So lock boxes for some of our businesses that are located along 495, which tend to see more opioid overdoses than some of the other locations here in town. And we also suggested, like I said, these kits that would have our Narcan in them, fentanyl strips, directions of how to do that, where to get more information for all of our first responder vehicles. We are still waiting to hear back from our insurance carrier for the town, just to make sure we're all set with liability. So I just wanted to give you an update that they're still working on it. Opioid settlement funding. So Nicole, myself, police, fire, we have a group going with Brittany as well, talking about opioid settlement funding that does have to go in front of our town meeting in March to appropriate funding. I believe the first year it's a little over $130,000 that the town is receiving. After that, it's $22,000 a year for the next 18 years. There are still, our understanding is there are still companies that are still in settlement cases in court, so potential for more funding down the road, but there are specific things set by the Attorney General's office that you can use this funding for your community. So as soon as we have more of a plan together, we're working actively on that now so that we can put that together for the warrant. We'll present that. And last thing I would say, the flu vaccine walk-in clinics on our health department page. Gail, our public health nurse, had asked that I mention this tonight, that we do have some flu vaccine left, and we have actively been advertising that on our social media and web pages for anyone that wants to come in after 2:30, 3 o'clock. You can make an appointment, call the office, you can do it right online. This has been really helpful. I know a lot of parents have appreciated that, especially with kids. They get a little overwhelmed in the large clinics with, the crying and the overwhelmed situation. So they've really taken advantage. And as I mentioned, we do have quite a few residents with different disabilities that have taken advantage of this. So we wanted to just let folks know if they still need a flu vaccine, it's not too late. And the flu is very active. So we certainly encourage people to give us a call.
Great, thanks, Ray. And one more thing before we adjourn, can I ask, we had heard that they thought perhaps there would be more information about PFAS and well water levels and things like that coming out in the fall. Has there been any updates on those levels or testing or CDC, whatever approvals? No. Okay.
No, there have no EPA or DEP additional requirements or standards at this time. We did actively reach out to see if there would be more funding available for local communities so that our residents could have their well tested, but we've been told that funding is not available.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
I have one question.
Yeah, sure. Sue.
So Ray, just the mobile clinician, how has that been going?
So the mobile clinician, I have mentioned, I've met with our social services department and Nicole to rebrand. I personally think mobile clinician sounds like a mobile doctor, and people, is it going to show up to your house? How's that going to work? So we're looking at rebranding, how that's going right now. I know they've had, I believe, 6 residents reach out to that program seeking active help, and they have been following up with the clinician for assistance. But I think they were hoping that more people would take advantage of that option. I know we have been advertising, and we actually, Valerie Young, I think I mentioned at the last meeting, was so gracious and kind. She made us a new flyer, and so we've put that up around town, but we are looking at rebranding.
And the schools are aware of it, Ray? Like, has it been given to all the guidance and?
It is, yeah. So the schools are active on our meetings every time we meet about not only the clinician, but other mental health forums and committee meetings, but they are actively aware, and they have been referring folks.
And the police and fire have the flyers as well, I hope, because that, I mean, when you think about it,
yeah, we make sure that police and fire are really great. They have everything from the clutter image for warding, so they know what to call when they go into someone's house. Again, things like these booklets for domestic violence.
Awesome.
And then we do make sure that they have these flyers so that they're able to pass those on.
Thank you.
Sure.
You had a question?
No, I was just gonna tell you that the PFAS levels are gonna change soon. They're supposed to, in the next few months, that they're supposed to come out with a lower threshold.
Right, that's what I was wondering if it had happened.
EPA's
this fall, but
no,
yeah.
we're waiting on the EPA.
Okay.
And then the state will follow.
Because the question was whether we should be testing well water now or whether we should be waiting to test against the new levels.
I would test now.
You
I mean,
test-
because test now against what we have now, and you'll have a baseline for when the levels change and
yeah.
should be tested.
Yeah,
Thank you.
we strongly recommend to all residents that they test for PFAS, and we have been advertising that. I know the cost is significant for folks, and that's, what we've heard from residents. A lot of residents, believe it or not, have lived at their home for 20 years and they don't even test the water for E. coli, or they don't know what's in their water. So to ask them to test, on top of it, another $400. That's why we've been seeking funding to try to help residents supplement that cost.
Do we have a handle on how many people in town have drinking water wells?
So right now it is about 28 to 32%, depending on how you're looking. Drinking water wells, it is 28% and 32 with irrigation.
And I think that's important because we're kind of doing the same thing, is that people tend to think if it's just an irrigation well, they don't have to test for anything because they're technically not drinking it, but they're watering their garden with it. They're letting their dogs, filling the dog bowl with it and things like that. So I think it's important for people to know that even though it's an irrigation well, you should still be testing it at least periodically. Obviously, you're not drinking it or using it to cook, or shouldn't be. But it still can get contaminated in the same way. So
Thank you. All right. That brings us to the moment of adjournment. Is there somebody who'd like to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion.
Who makes the motion? Is there a second?
second. I have to get off mute.
Stephanie's in favor. Michelle?
Aye.
Yes. Joanne? Yes. So
Aye.
yeah. Have a good evening, everyone.